Greetings, everyone, and I would like to welcome you, and you, and you, and you, and I guess you too, to like the 50-second Law video I've made on this channel. Woo! Law! We love you, Law! Get out of here, Zoro! Get out of here, Kinemon! I don't even know what you're doing on there, Tashigi! This whole wall scroll should be nothing but Law! 24/7. Remember when I was going to do Law Week? It was like just 7 straight videos on Law, and I said it as a joke, because I'm like, I've already talked about Law enough. I don't think I'm gonna have enough material for 7 videos in a row. I have yet to talk about Law's submarines, so we have some possibilities here in the future. Okay, so today's video is going to be about Law, if you haven't guessed that already. Last chapter, chapter 1001, it was pretty good. Oda is always really a master at combining intense action with comedy, and somehow he keeps that equilibrium to the point where it's not ridiculous, right? Because it's like, we have Kaido and Big Mom set up as these crazy powerful pirates. They're Yonko. We've had hundreds of chapters of One Piece to build up just how dangerous the Yonko are, and then we're finally getting into a straight-up brawl with Luffy, Zoro, Law, Kid, and Killer all up against 2 of the Emperors, and you think that's like, oh man, it's just gonna be nothing but just crazy fisticuffs and swords and haki flying off everywhere. But no, the chapter had some really funny moments in it, and it didn't seem out of place. It seemed like it made sense given the characters and their personalities, right? How Luffy with the fireballs, he was like, hey, the last person to flinch is the weakest, right? That is something that they would do, because while they are all captains and they are all really strong pirates, they also have this like a measuring contest between them, basically. Like, who's the strongest, really? It's like, well, I'm not gonna play your game, Straw Hat. Okay, then I guess you can flinch and you're the weakest. Oh, well! And then they make the ha faces as the fireball hits them. Law's little moment where he's like just tired of, it's like, oh, I didn't do what, you told me to do, Straw Hat. I was gonna save the scabbards anyway. That was gonna be a really cool moment. That made me just think that, like, Law, he's sitting on the, by the way, Law, you were on that rooftop for a good few minutes before Luffy showed up. You could have saved the scabbards whenever you wanted to. You didn't, okay? You were up there waiting around with Kid and Killer and Zoro. You could have used Shambles and sent Kinemon and everybody down below, and then Luffy showed up, and it's just like, hey man, you had your chance, right? It would be funny if Law was sitting up there like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait for the last minute, and then I'm going to use my powers to send the scabbards down below. That's going to be a really cool moment. I'm going to be really stoic. I'll say something maybe really cool along with lines. I'll be like, Kinemon, your long battle is finally over. That'll be cool. And then while Law is in the middle of like that inner monologue thinking about the really awesome stuff he's going to say, Luffy's like, Traffy, send him down! And he's like, Shambles. Okay. So there's comedy like that, and it makes it work, right? But I think one of the funniest moments in the last chapter was something that was not intended to be funny, but it was the scene when Law and Luffy and Kid were all breaking out some of their strongest signature attacks to launch a volley directly on Kaido. Kaido, of course, was kind of like, intending them to hit him. He was like kind of just standing there waiting for it, right? And so Luffy goes Gear 4th, he uses Kong Gun, Kid goes into his Punk Rot, and he uses Punk Vice with his giant Robo, and then you have Law there with his room, and he's like, I will deliver unto you a precise surgeon's death. And it's like, ooh, what's he gonna do? Gamma knife? Radio knife? Some other variety of knife? Is he going to make like a bunch of gamma knives in the air, like acupuncture, and like pierce Kaido at the same time from like 30 different directions? That'd be cool. No, it's like, I will deliver unto you a surgeon's death by throwing a bunch of rocks at you! Ha-ha! I thought of, as I was editing that video yesterday, I thought of a joke. Probably some other people thought of it too. But as I was editing it, I was like, man, this should have been the joke. This should have been an easy joke for me. Hey, Kaido, I heard about rocks. Apparently your greatest enemy are a bunch of rocks. Get it? Because rocks, Zebek, he was the captain of the original crew, and even in that chapter, Kaido was like, there's only a few people that should be able to go toe-to-toe with me, and rocks was one of them. So that would have been funny if like, Law was reading some sort of document down in the basement or something, like he found Kaido's diary or something, and he's like, oh my god, it's all in here. Kaido's biggest fear is rocks. But Law didn't know what that meant, so he was like, all right, Kaido, I know your Achilles heel now. Take this, rocks! He just thought that would work. Still makes no sense on the surgeon's death line. Unless, of course, maybe I was thinking the possibility of that is maybe Law was going to throw the rocks at Kaido, because in order for his Shambles to work, he has to have an object that he has to switch with. So he sends the rocks at Kaido, and then maybe he at the last minute and then uses Gamma Knife or then uses Radio Knife or something. But then Luffy and Kid attacked him also at the exact same time, and that kind of threw off Law's timing. That's the best thing I could possibly think of. But this, of course, harkens back to something I think it's finally time that we addressed. Pretty much anytime Law is in a fight, and I'm talking about it on the channel, I get comments all the time that are basically like, why doesn't Law just do this or this or this and end the fight in like 1 second, right? Why doesn't Law just use his scalpel to remove Kaido's heart and just... You ever watch Dusk Till Dawn with George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino, right? The scene with the vampires, and they just take out the pencil and they just take out the heart and just... And it's like, why doesn't Law just do that? Why doesn't Law just use Gamma Knife on Kaido? Or why doesn't Law just use his Shambles to separate Law and Big Mom up into a bunch of different Lego blocks so they can't really fight anymore? Why doesn't Law perform the personality switch surgery to swap, Kaido's personality with Big Mom? I mean, okay, that would still be dangerous, but they wouldn't be able to use their respective powers. Like, if Kaido and Big Mom swapped personalities, I'm sorry to give you that mental image, but if that were to happen, Kaido wouldn't be able to control Napoleon and Zeus and Prometheus as well, and Big Mom wouldn't be able, Mama, I'm a dragon! Actually, you're a fish. I'm a duck! Like, she wouldn't be able to handle that much. But, like, hey, that's a good idea. Just transfer Kaido's mind with a duck! There you go! Just bring a little duck with you and just be like, personality swap surgery. There we go! Alright, Kaido, it's time to make some far-fetched roast duck here. Like, why doesn't Law just do that? Okay, well, the simple answer is haki. Just haki. Well, that has been this video. I hope you guys all enjoyed. No, so I mean, like... It's kind of like in Bleach whenever Aizen did that troll line with Soiphone, like, Shinigami battles are a battle of Ryatsu. If my Ryatsu is higher than yours, then no attack you have, no matter how broken and OP, could possibly hope to injure or even kill me, right? And it's kind of the same thing in One Piece, but with haki. It's just like, pirate battles are battles of haki. And, Kaido has, like, a tremendous amount of haki, so does Big Mom, all the emperors do. So it's like, it doesn't matter what crazy devil fruit power you have, as long as my haki is stronger, I will be immune to your ability. And this is even kind of referenced a little bit back at Punk Hazard when Smoker and Tashigi were going up against Law. And Smoker had a line, I think he said it to Tashigi, like, Tashigi, your haki is not powerful enough to deal with him. Alright, kind of implying that if you had enough armament haki, you would be able to resist Law's abilities. Alright, maybe not 100%, but it would make it a little bit more difficult for him to manipulate you with his room ability. Because as Smoker put it, because that's when we were first getting the explanation for the Op fruit. That's when we first got the name of it. And Smoker was like, as soon as Law opens up his room, you're essentially a patient on his operating table. But he also mentioned that if you have enough haki, you could possibly resist those effects. Now, it didn't work so well for Tashigi and Smoker, because they were victims of the personality switch, and also Law took away Smoker's heart with his scalpel ability as well, so their haki was obviously not strong enough. Flash forward a little bit in the arc from when Law fought against Virgo, and when Doflamingo was over the Den Den Mushi, Doflamingo was extraordinarily confident that Law would not be able to damage Virgo. He was like, oh, you're gonna get your ass beat by Virgo again. You're a little brat that thinks, he's an adult. You're not gonna be able to win against Virgo. And Virgo is all, armament haki, 100% his entire body. He takes out his little bamboo thing, and he's about to, like, beat Law down with it. And Doflamingo and Virgo, they know that Law has the op fruit. It's not like they don't know it, but they just miscalculated how much stronger Law had gotten with the fruit. Dofi just assumed, like, yeah, you got your op fruit, but Virgo's haki is on such another level from yours, Law, that you won't be able to do anything with the fruit. And I think that Law really secretly trained for a number of years, and, Doflamingo had a decent idea where his power level was, but Law was kind of hiding his true potential, right? Doflamingo might have thought Law was at, 60%, Law was at, 80%, and Virgo was at 75 or whatever, if you want to put numbers to it, I guess, right? And so that's when Law took out his sword, and not only did he separate, Virgo's body, he also sliced apart the entire mountain and the factory and, the sad production plant and everything, right? So that proved, that's the full power of close to the full power of what Law could really do. And he sliced right through Virgo's haki, okay? So haki is definitely the point here. Why doesn't Law just use Shambles on, Kaido the same way he did with those Marines back at Sabaody? Remember that one poor Marine where Law swapped his head with a cannonball? Law is such a dick. It's just like, yeah, there's just a bunch of random Marines. I'm gonna have fun with this. Just cannonball face, boom! He's tactical, he's smart, but he can be a bit of an asshole sometimes, okay? But yeah, when it comes to small riffraff like that, like random Marines or random low-level pirates, and then you go that, hell, he was even able to affect Frankie, Chopper, Sanji, and Nami with the personality switch at Punk Hazard. Granted, they were escaping from Law, so they didn't actually know about his ability or what they were doing. I don't know, maybe they could prevent something, because out of the four, Sanji was the one that actually knew haki. He had mostly observation haki, but he knew armament haki too. I wonder, if Sanji knew about Law's ability to affect things inside of his room, and Sanji knew the attack was coming, and he readied up his armament haki, would he have been able to resist that personality switch? Or would he have been able to resist the effects a little bit? I'm not really sure how that goes down there, but, Smoker and Tashigi certainly wouldn't. Right now, Big Mom and Kaido are, on a whole other level. It's not even just, Law's here and then just, up a few levels. No, it's, the difference is huge when it comes to haki at that level, right? And so, I imagine, Law could maybe try to do, the mess or something, but in order for that to be a thing, he would probably have to get really close, and that's going to be hard to do. Yeah, he can use his Shambles to warp himself around the battlefield, but if he kind of messes up at least once, he's gonna get hit and he could go down, right? And that's not very good there. I know that we kind of look at the op fruit as the most powerful, and it was even regarded as the ultimate devil fruit in One Piece. Obviously, there's a lot of other devil fruits out there that are really strong. The Guru Guru no Mi, the Magu Magu no Mi. If you get the Jacket fruit, you're essentially the Pirate King already. You're 99.99% of the way there. But it was stated in the story by Doflamingo, the number of people in the world that refer to the op fruit as the ultimate devil fruit are not few. There's quite a few, there's quite a bit of people in the world that refer to it like that, right? Now, I think that is, partly because of all the surgeries you can perform with it, and, you have the ability to control space, and you can move things around in said space. You have lightning and electrical abilities with, the counter shock. You can do all that kind of crap with it. But let's not forget, the ultimate draw when it comes to the op fruit, and probably the majority of the reason why it's referred to as the ultimate devil fruit, is the ageless surgery operation, the eternal youth operation. Because that is something that people have been kind of vying for since time immemorial, eternal youth, living forever. And there's actually the op fruit isn't the only fruit that can do that. It really depends. Like, imagine, let's say you walk into a devil fruit store. You're just walking down the street, strumbumbly bum, and you see a mysterious store opening up on the corner of your block, and it's like, that's never been there before. And you walk in, and there's devil fruits covering the walls, and there's a mysterious old man that walks out, you know? And he's like, what can I do you for? We have all sorts of mystical fruits here. And then you're like, oh, I want something to make me live a long time, or to extend my life, or to live beyond my days, or eternal youth or something. It's like, oh, well, we have quite a few in stock here. May I introduce you to the op fruit? It offers an immortal surgery that makes you young forever. But if that's not your speed, we also have the Yomi Yomi no Mi. It'll bring you back to life after you die. How about the Hobby Hobby no Mi? That gives you the ability to turn things into toys, manipulate their memories, make contracts with them, and also gives you eternal youth. Kind of weird fruit, but that's a thing that exists. There's the age fruit, you know, that Bonnie has, that you can manipulate your age that way. The Kage no Mi, it allows you, at least your physical body, to come back to life. It won't be you anymore, it won't have your soul, but your body will be up and moving around after you die. And speaking of souls, we also have the soul fruit that can rip lifespans out of people. I don't think the lifespans are added to your own, but it rips lifespans out of people, so you could probably do something with that. And if you want to live beyond your time, there's also the devil fruit that allows you to travel through time. Technically, Toki was, you know, chronologically like 800 years old. So there's a lot of devil fruits that kind of offer that somewhat immortality, or coming back from the dead, or living beyond your years kind of basic package there. But the op fruit, I think, is probably the one that's at least the most consistent. The only downside, of course, is the person that uses the surgery dies. The person that had the Opi no Mi dies, and then that new person, you know, receives the eternal youth, and they continue on. I wonder, could you perform the immortal surgery on yourself? Is that a way to probably cheat the system? Probably not. You probably couldn't do that. You would probably perform the surgery. It might just not be feasible, right, to do that, right? And so that's the reason why, of course, Doflamingo wanted to manipulate Law and everything into using the surgery on himself, you know, on Doflamingo, so he could be eternally young, right? So that's the primary reason why it's considered, I think, the ultimate devil fruit. Yeah, you can do a lot of really other cool stuff with it, but it's really not as OP as you think of it. It's really kind of like in an RPG. It's like if you get to a high enough level to all the scrubs that are like level 1, you're basically a deity, right? You can just wipe them all out with no problems whatsoever. But, you know, you have to train with that power to get to that point. Law, being a surgeon, is probably the best person in the world to eat that fruit. And not that he really had a choice in the matter with Corazon and everything. Like, Law, eat the fruit! You know, here! You know, he didn't really have a choice in that regard. But he's really the best person to consume it, given his, you know, family. His father was a surgeon, was a doctor, and then, you know, he was interested in biology and medical science since a young age and everything, and then also with his Amber Lead syndrome and how he cured it and all that stuff. But yeah, now, that involves stuff like his room, his shambles, like moving things around, basically ending the fight very quickly. What about other techniques like his gamma knife or his radio knife, okay? Because those techniques did work on Doflamingo. So Law is... he can definitely fight in a straight-up brawl. We've seen that with Doflamingo, but that's definitely not the way that Law prefers to fight. Law prefers a much more tactical, kind of a finesse sort of way of fighting, you know, shambling around the battlefield, or disabling his opponents, or using, like, injection shot. But he does have abilities that allow him to get up close and personal and take an enemy down like that. Also, another thing to mention, when he was fighting Doflamingo and he was using his sword, I think he just went to go stab Dofi, and Dofi was able to grab the blade and kind of, like, you know, pull Law down and attack him with his strings. If Law really did have complete control over his room and Doflamingo inside of it, that shouldn't have been possible. He would have been able to just, like, separate the sword or separate Doflamingo's arm or something, but he just simply wasn't able to do that, right? But Gamma Knife did hit Doflamingo, okay? So that's probably, right now that we know of, Law's strongest physical move. The problem is you gotta get really up close and personal to use it, and the risk there is going to be immense. That was what I was maybe thinking of the rocks. You know, I'm gonna throw a bunch of these rocks at Kaido, not necessarily to hurt him, but for one thing to maybe obscure his vision, and for a second thing so I can have objects that I could switch out with really quick, and then just grab his chest, and then just, Gamma Knife! Boom! Gamma Knife! You know, you gotta do more than one there. I don't know if there's maybe a rapid fire version of that. Ever since Doflamingo, maybe Law did level up a bit. Maybe he got a Zenkai boost or something, and he's like, I need to figure out some sort of, like, rapid fire Gamma Knife ability. That's the best way for me to do this, right? Also, Kaido, in dragon form, it might just be like, well, the Gamma Knife is basically radiation, right? Like, that's the point of Gamma Knife. Like, it's gamma radiation that, like, pierces through whatever defenses you had. Doflamingo had really powerful haki, armament plus Conqueror's haki. Gamma Knife was able to pierce right through all that defense and then damage all of his organs. The only reason he was able to survive that, and I still kind of call BS on that, was, oh, I have the string powers, so I can just, like, paste my organs back together. I'm like, yeah, I guess, but you wouldn't be tip-top shape after that, right? I feel like after he used Gamma Knife, even if he did manage to patch himself together, one Kong gun from Luffy probably should have finished him off. I mean, that was a lot of eternal damage there, right? But we know Kaido has a mythical zone, the dragon fruit, the fish fruit model dragon or whatever the hell. So, you know, I don't think he has the power to heal his organs internally. So if Law were to use Gamma Knife on him and he were to damage some organs, that would be funny if he used it on the dragon, but obviously Law's standing down there. He's like, I'm not really sure. I mean, I studied the biology of humans and fishmen and merfolk and, you know, minks and everything, but I don't know where are the dragon's organs at? Are they mostly all up here, or are they spread throughout the body? You know, for that matter, I'm not really even sure. This isn't Law talking. This is just me at this point. For that matter, I'm not even sure how the anatomy of a snake works. Where do they poop? Does it just come out the end of their tail? I'm confused. I don't really know how that works. I should probably go look that up later. I really don't know, you know? Because it's like rattlesnakes, their rattles are on the end. How does the... I don't know, but like, how does snake and dragon biology work? Point is, Law could like jump on Kaido's back and then try to use Gamma Knife, but he only manages to like, he managed to maybe rip some blood vessels apart or whatever, but he doesn't actually hit the heart or the lung or anything vital to his being. And then of course there's the whole situation with Kaido's scales. I would imagine Gamma Knife might be able to still pierce that unless there's some BS going on, like, oh, the scales reflect the Gamma Knife back, so I have to do it from his underbelly or something, right? Could Law make a bigger version of Gamma Knife? It wouldn't really be Gamma Knife, but oh, Gamma Sword! That would be cool. He makes like a giant energy sword, like that one scene in Super when Trunks makes the giant Spirit Bomb sword, right? That kind of thing, right? Where it's just this giant green energy saber with like lightning shooting off of it, and just pure gamma radiation blade. Gamma Claymore! And then just like slices or like pierces into Kaido with it, or maybe combines the Gamma Knife with like his injection shot ability with the you know, with the crosshairs and everything, and then he uses that technique with the Gamma Knife. That would be really cool, right? Radio Knife would be immensely useful. That's the ability that separates you like Shambles, except it's like a magnetic charge, so you can't paste yourself back together right away. Even if, okay, and also, maybe even if you're not going up against Kaido, maybe even Big Mom, like, maybe not Big Mom, but, like, her homies, like Prometheus or Zeus, that would actually work really effective on them if he used Radio Knife on Zeus. Normally, Zeus is water vapor, he's a cloud, or Prometheus is fire. They would be able to probably just put themselves back together. The only reason things were a little weird when Brook fought against them was because Brook wasn't just using a regular sword. He was using a soul charge sword to slice up Zeus, which is why I think he reverted to Chibi Zeus. And he was also able to slice Prometheus, and Prometheus had to put the little band-aid on his cheek. You know, that's the reason. Like, it's a fireball. How did he get a cut? It's because it was a special soul blade that was actually cutting through him. Zoro did use the Foxfire style last time. He used Flame Rend, one of Kinemon's techniques there. But it was still just a normal use of sword play and haki. It wasn't like directing damage to the soul that animates Prometheus. It was just slicing the fire. fire up. So, and Prometheus was still fine after. Even after being sliced up, Prometheus could still listen to Big Mom fire off fireballs, and I'm sure Prometheus could probably just back together whenever he kind of wants. It was just in that moment he got cut, right? But with Law's ability, with Radio Knife, it might not matter. It's like you cut up Zeus and Prometheus, and that electrical charge keeps them from forming back together. So that would be very useful on them. Napoleon is just a hat, from what we understand. A hat that can turn into a variety of swords. Like there's a long sword, a claymore, that really, really long sword that used the cognac blade with the fire and everything. So, yeah, maybe Law would hopefully target maybe the homies for right now with his ability, and that could maybe work. But other than that, think outside the box. Like, I mean, you probably don't want to do this because there's people underneath you, and plus Kaido and Big Mom can fly, but it's like, couldn't Law just cut out a section of the roof and have it collapse under them? I mean, he could have, but, you know, there's people underneath there and they can fly, so that's not point. That there's no point. But that's my idea, like, not focusing exactly on the op fruit, on directing on Kaido and Big Mom specifically, but on the things around them. You know, so target Big Mom's homies, help out the other crew by using Shambles to, like, warp them around the battlefield and everything, and I've already kind of gone into detail about that. But, yeah, that's the thing. It's just, it's probably not as OP as we think it is against really strong opponents, but hey, if Law gets really, really strong, if Law manages to survive to the age of, like, Whitebeard or Roger, well, Roger died in his 50s, but, you know, like, Rayleigh, age, like, 78, if Law gets that old and that strong and he keeps working with his fruit, then yeah, he probably would essentially be, you know, a master of the op fruit and could basically take down anybody whenever he wants. There's a prevailing theory that Law is not going to make it through the rest of this story. He's going to use the Eternal Youth operation on, like, Luffy or somebody. I'm gonna hold that off for right now. I don't think he's going to die. I think he's going to make it through. But yeah, you can do stuff with this. And hey, who knows? Maybe if it's like a Katakuri thing. Remember, Luffy thought Katakuri was kind of invincible with his haki and his powers and everything, but when he caught Katakuri off guard with his merienda, with his snack time, and it was just like, oh crap, and then Luffy was able to hit him because the observation haki faulted. It might be something like that with Kaido. If you have everybody else just, you know, bombarding Kaido with blow after blow, Kaido might be distracted enough and his haki might be weakened, or rather he might take all of his haki into his Kanabo to, like, Thunder Banana, you know, rampaging lightning storm or something, and all of his haki is in his Kanabo and he's distracted, then Law shows up and uses Scalpel or Shambles or whatever. Could be something like that. But in order for this to work effectively, you know, Luffy, Kid, Law, Zoro, and Killer are all going to have to learn how to work together as one unit, as one team, and that's going to be fairly difficult. Obviously, Zoro and Luffy can work together. Obviously, Kid and Killer can work together as a team, because they're on the same cruise. But yeah, they're going to have to all work together as some sort of, like, ultimate combo attack involving all 5 of them, and they could maybe deal some direct damage there to Kaido, with maybe Law being the center of all of it. The problem with that is that's going to require, like, Luffy and Kid to be, like, the distraction. You know, it's like, hey guys, listen, I have this ability that can literally bypass his defenses and just target his heart or his critical organs, like, right like that. But you're gonna have to be able to distract him and get his haki focused elsewhere. Luffy and Kid are gonna be like, yeah, screw that, we're gonna deal damage. I'm gonna be the one to finish Kaido. No, I'm gonna be the one to finish off Kaido. Yeah, well, that's gonna be the biggest hurdle, honestly. But we'll see where it goes. And maybe Law did have a plan there. He was like, I will deal you a surgeon's death, and he was gonna do the rocks, and maybe that was step 1 of my master plan. We'll see where it goes from here, right? Next chapter we'll keep up with that, like what Law actually meant, because I do find that a little weird. It's funny, but then you gotta look into it beyond just being funny. Like, Law said that, and then he did something completely contradictory to that. Oda might have something planned here. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the 3 millionth Law video on this channel. Always a fun time to talk about Law. And, yeah, we'll see where the fight goes. But I suppose the op fruit is not really as OP as everyone thinks it is. Anyway, hope you guys have a great day. This will be Tekking and Barry, your hat's a bit askew, signing out. Later, everyone.